So Fox knows that Donald Trump's getting crushed now by Vice President Kamala Harris. It's getting worse for Donald Trump each day since the debate. So what Fox and Donald Trump want to do is use the incident that took place over the weekend at Donald Trump's Florida golf club, where this alleged shooter was not even within the line of sight of Donald Trump, but they want to use that to call on Vice President Kamala Harris to stop campaigning and to pull her ads in the battleground state. Fox had Donald Trump's top surrogate, Byron Donalds, on and said this. Play the clip.
Well, Congressman, do you think Kamala's issued statement where she said there's no place for violence in America, or she's glad Donald Trump's safe, was that sufficient?
No. What she should do is go through all the ad campaign that they're running in the battleground states. Anything that references being destructive of democracy and all the other tropes and the lies, Project 2025, all that stuff, it should come down. Stick to the facts, stick to the policy. But you can't do.
And then earlier in the day, one of the Fox hosts was similarly pushing that message. Vice President Kamala Harris needs to basically stop campaigning at this point. Here, watch this.
That is just the rhetoric. And, people are at each other's throats. Do you see that as a contributing factor in Butler, which you've already looked at?
Absolutely. The rhetoric is every day, all day. And as it's directed against President Trump, it's saying that he's a threat to democracy, that he's going to destroy America. It's absolutely absurd, and it is irresponsible. And Democrats and people who are speaking in these terms about President Trump need to take responsibility and really think about the consequence of using that kind of language. Right. Because here we are again. And so in the days immediately after Butler, we heard people accept that needed to stop, but it didn't last. And right. That today is a day that needs to be taken seriously.
It lasted about a day and a half. Congresswoman, thank you very much for joining us live.
Then you had Laura Ingraham on Fox say, you know what really needs to happen right now? You need President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. They should invite Donald Trump to the White House. Why? So he could steal more stuff from the White House? Here, play this clip.
I was thinking about this today. If Harris and Biden really want to end the conspiracy theories and bring the country together, all this unity stuff, well, Harris needs to make a much more vigorous stance here. And you know what would speak volumes? Why not invite former President Trump to the White House?
So while all of that messaging is going out from Fox, what is Donald Trump doing? He's holding a Spaces on X, just like an audio thing. It's formerly Twitter, like an audio chat that they have there. And Donald Trump is calling Vice President Kamala Harris and his political opponents Marxist and fascist. Play this clip.
No votes. She got no votes. But she'd be very bad for the country. We have to save our country. We can't play games, and we can't have a Marxist, communist president, because that's not what it's all about. So we're going to do it, and we're going to.
Yeah, Donald Trump is also sending out multiple fundraisers, politicizing what went down at the Florida golf club. Also, Donald Trump continues to sell assassination edition sneakers regarding the Butler, Pennsylvania incident. Then they had MAGA Republican Representative Mike Waltz on Fox, who says that what happened here was God. This was divine intervention. Play this clip.
But for that agent and the grace of God, again, 2 miracles now in 2 months.
Wow. Somebody's looking out for the former president.
That's exactly what the speaker told him. This is a divine intervention here for a higher cause. But
well, we look.
Or maybe MAGA Republican Congressmember Waltz. The issue here is that the Secret Service warned Donald Trump multiple times about the dangers of where his golf courses were located. And they told him that it's really unsafe for you to be playing golf right next to public highways. Maybe also Donald Trump worked to allow mentally ill people to have weapons of war. And that's also allowed to proliferate in Florida. So maybe there's a conflagration based on all of those things, but I don't know. Just so we all see, here's what the acting Secret Service director had to say about the incident, just so we can be clear about the facts. Play this clip.
A Secret Service advance agent supporting the front edge of the agency's layered approach to protection encountered an individual attempting to secrete himself in the woodline. This happened. The alleged gunman was on the public side of the fence near the 6th green. A layered approach of security is integral to the Secret Service's protective methodologies, and it's also the key to our success. As former President Trump was moving through the fifth fairway across the course and out of sight of the sixth green, the agent, who was visually sweeping the area of the sixth green, saw the subject armed with what he perceived to be a rifle and immediately discharged his firearm. The subject, who did not have line of sight to the former president, fled the scene. He did not fire or get off any shots at our agent. With reports of...
And apparently MAGA Republican Senator Lindsey Graham didn't like that. And so in their MAGA performative politics, they're calling on the resignation of the Secret Service director. Now play the clip.
When I heard this, the acting director say everything worked fine, no, man, you need to be fired. You need to go.
Your reaction.
Then you had Jesse Waters, one of the main Fox hosts, say, why are people so focused on Haitians here? Why not? Shouldn't we be focused on Americans? Play this clip.
The bomb threats came from overseas. So there that is. The media is already trying to turn the page. Trump got shot, and they're worried about the Haitians in Springfield. Not the Americans in Springfield, just the Haitians. In their eyes, cat memes are worse than real-life assassinations.
Well, Jesse Waters, what you should know is that the Haitian community is lawfully in Springfield, Ohio. They have been targeted by people like you and MAGA and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance wrongfully. There's terroristic threats now against hardworking Haitian people who are in Springfield and frankly across the country. Elementary schools are shut down. Their cultural festival shut down. City Hall had to be closed. Their colleges are now virtual based on all of these lies that you're telling. And J.D. Vance already admitted he likes to make up these stories, he said, when he was interviewed by Dana Bash. But here Laura Ingraham has to cover for J.D. Vance and attack Dana Bash. Here, play this clip.
Now, why is it Dana Bash's job to try to defend the Harris-Walz campaign here? I mean, she crashed and burned when she tried to debate J.D. Vance over the weekend, and this...
Then you have MAGA Republican Senator Tim Scott also do the, we got to tone down the rhetoric, tone it down. Here, play this clip.
But their rhetoric, it's not just over the top. It is potentially deadly. We need to see it toned down, starting on the left. I've already heard it from our side. Every one of us wants to focus on the issues, but every single time we see another attempt against President Trump, you got to ask yourself, is there a plot? 2 assassination attempts in 6 weeks?
Okay, well, here's Donald Trump in the past week or so saying that the mass deportations of migrants that he wants, including the Haitians who he wants to send to Venezuela, he says it's going to be a bloody thing. It's going to be very bloody, he says. Here, play this clip.
And, you know, getting them out will be a bloody story. Should have never been allowed to come into our country. Nobody checked them.
Then Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump, goes on Hannity, where he whines about how Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. People care more about that than what's going on with Donald Trump at the Florida Golf Club. Play this clip.
You know, I heard an interesting statement the other day. It was actually a meme the other day on social media that the Will Smith slap got more attention than Butler, Pennsylvania. And I think that's close to being true because the mainstream media swept it under the rug as quickly as they could and moved on to their next shiny ball to try and promote either Joe Biden at the time or Kamala Harris, which they do every single time. I mean, why is this person literally the punching bag for absolutely everything? And then you hear...
I mean, look, Eric, maybe if your daddy didn't start selling Assassination Edition sneakers for $299 or whiskey glasses and make a mockery out of it as well, people would take it a little more seriously. Maybe it's just the behavior and the way you all act and how you immediately politicize it. Say, the ads need to go down. Kamala Harris needs to stop campaigning. By the way, here's more Byron Donalds complaining about the rhetoric. Play the clip.
Rhetoric is out of control. It is dangerous. And we're not going to be lectured to by Keith Boykin or anybody else on the Democrat side of the aisle. Clean up your own house before you come talk to us.
Now, I could show you about a dozen clips like this, but I'll just show you one. And this is Donald Trump giving a speech where he mocks Nancy Pelosi and Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, because Paul was the victim of an attempted murder. And here Donald Trump insinuates something that Don Jr. did as well, that actually Paul was involved in a homosexual relationship with the person who tried to kill him, which is entirely false. But Donald Trump spreads that lie and unhinged conspiracy to try to encourage more violence on his political enemies. Play this clip.
We had no terror during my administration. The only terror we had was Nancy Pelosi, who's a crazed lunatic. She's a lunatic. She is a crazed lunatic. What the hell was going on with her husband? Let's not ask. Let's not ask. I'll withdraw that statement. By the way, she's got a wall around her house. Obviously, in that case, it didn't work very well, did it? It didn't work.
Now, you have President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, hosts at this network who condemn political violence. And yet Donald Trump's the one inciting that type of stuff. Now, it should be noted as well that the individual, and that's why I showed you the clip of the Secret Service director. Maybe this is not what the MAGAs wanted to hear. He was a 2016 Trump voter, okay? Recently, he's been a Nikki Haley supporter, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Tulsi Gabbard. He's a COVID conspiracy theorist. That's who this individual is. And then the person in Butler was a Republican whose family was MAGA. That's who it is. But these MAGA Republicans want to say these are leftists, these are this. Like, take a look at this happening earlier. Play this clip.
Do you blame, Congressman, the constant drumbeat from the left that Trump is a threat to democracy for yesterday's attempt and yet another attempt on his life?
100%. After January 6th, Nancy Pelosi called all of us Republican members of Congress domestic terrorists. Those words are impactful to people that are looking to do harm to people. So we've been called domestic terrorists. They're repeated calls that Trump is a threat to democracy, which is actually the left. I mean, Kamala Harris hasn't had a single person vote for her for president, and she's the nominee. I mean, if there's not a more threat to democracy, it's that she was picked behind closed doors in a Democratic convention, and that she's the person that they put out with not a single person voting for her.
I mean, just the level of recklessness and irresponsibility there. And here's another one of these MAGA Republicans saying the same thing. Play this clip.
They're trying to kill the only guy that has a chance to get this fixed. And of course, President Biden, I don't know who's running our country, but somebody needs to step to the plate and at least act like you care about a Republican candidate, but they truly don't. They could care less. There needs to be SEAL teams. There needs to be military. Larry, I don't know what these people are thinking. And of course, Chuck Schumer and McConnell and all these people up here are running around with all kinds of security in Washington, D.C. And the one man that we need to protect his life is Donald Trump, and they refuse to do it.
And finally, I'll leave you with this one more clip of Eric Trump. Play it.
The only threat to democracy is the people who are trying to kill that incredible man right there. Again, somebody loved by the entire country. And, you know, they've got to tone down that rhetoric. The whole, Joe Biden, we're going to put a bullseye on Donald Trump. That has to end. The Maxine Waters comments, they have to end. The mainstream media who goes after him every single day, it has to end. They are creating a culture of hate in this country.
And let me show you what President Biden said earlier in the day. Play it.
Before I begin, I want to make a quick reference. The attempted assassination against our former president in Florida yesterday. I commend the Secret Service for the expert handling of the situation. And the former president is protected from harm and the subject is in custody. An acting head of the Secret Service is in Florida today assessing what happened and determining whether any further adjustments need to be made to ensure the safety of our former president. Let me just say, there is no, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, those of you who know me, many of you do, no place in political violence for political violence in America. None. Zero. Never. I've always condemned political violence. I always will in America. In America, we resolve our differences peacefully at the ballot box, not at the end of a gun. America suffered too many times the tragedy of an assassin's bullet. It solves nothing and just tears the country apart. We must do everything we can to prevent it and never give it any oxygen.
Well, there you have it. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million together. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.